Hey guys, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your fave movies, and today I'm going to do a movie review on 大红灯笼高高挂, and the director is Zhang Yimou, and the movie's released in 1991. So you may be wondering, why am I suddenly reviewing this movie? First of all, this isn't some random obscure movie. In certain communities on the internet, this is considered a classic, but you may not have heard of this movie because why would you? It's not in English. But, anyways, I have been very into Chinese period films, or period films that reflect the Chinese culture lately. And of course, I have to watch this one to start off. Also, Zhang Yimou released another movie earlier this year called Cliff Walker's 悬崖至上, and I want to watch that, but I feel like that being my first Zhang Yimou film is a bad idea, so I have to watch this one first. But yeah, in this review, I would like to put my politics aside. I would like everyone watching this review to put their politics aside for a moment, because as you know, China politics. But good movie is good movie. Good music is good music. A good TV show is a good TV show. Good art is good art. So let's separate the art and the politics in this review for now, okay? I mean, the story of this film isn't even related to politics at all, where it is essentially a movie that takes place in the 1920s in China, which is not that long after the most important revolution that had taken place in China, which basically overthrew the Qing dynasty, the last imperial dynasty. And we are into the 1920s here. Yes, the political system is overthrown. It doesn't mean that the culture is gone. People still wear like late Qing dynasty style clothes, eat that style of food, and talk that style in that way. And this movie reflects that, which is really nice. But essentially, we have Song Lian. Song Lian is from a pretty poor family, so in order to get rich, she needs to be married to a rich guy. And because this guy is so rich, he has 4 wives, and Song Lian is his 4th. And you can't really call them wives. You call them concubines, where they're not exactly wives, but they're married into a rich man because they just want to get rich and live that rich lifestyle. But see, that is the problem. This is a very patriarchal thing where the men rules everything. The men is rich and the woman has to serve the men. And because of that, there are a lot of jealousy and hatred and toxicity between the concubines, the first, the second, the third, and the 4th, and that created a lot of drama and betrayal and lies, and it's just a very bleak movie about the result of this patriarchal system, and also the fact that jealousy and toxicity can just ruin people's lives to the point of even killing them. This is the kind of movie that constantly makes me ask myself, what would I do if I was in her situation? What would I do if I was in this story? Because the things that happen in the story is so... It feels very real, and it feels like something like that really happened. Also, I forgot to mention that this story is not an original screenplay. It is actually adapted from a book called Wives and Concubine, written by Su Tong, and it is released in 1990. So this movie is based off of a book that is released 1 year prior, which means that when the book got released, Zhang Yimou was like, yep, I'm making a movie based on that book right now, immediately. And he came up with this, which is kind of funny. And also, a lot of Zhang Yimou movies are actually like that. In the movie To Live, which is released in 1994, That movie is also based off of a book released in 1993, which is kind of funny. But anyways, Chinese history has always been filled with jealous women and greedy, money-loving, power-hungry men. So stories like this isn't totally groundbreaking and innovative or anything. It is still based off of real historical events that kept happening and happening and happening because of this whole concubine marriage system. And yeah, it's pretty frustrating. Watching this movie is actually pretty frustrating. So we have the main character of Song Lian, who at first acts like a jerk. So she is not a likable character right off the bat. She acts like a jerk. But in the beginning, she's still relatively innocent. She still doesn't know that, all these concubines are plotting against each other, trying to win the love and respect from the rich man so that the rich man can give them the most money. And at first, Song Lian kind of doesn't know that, but as the movie progresses, she learns more and more and more about how this system actually works, how this game is actually played, and she actually plays it pretty well until at the very end. But there are still things that she had done where I would be like, no, why would you do that? Like, if I were her, maybe I would make a secret contract with the maid, because every concubine has a maid along with them, and usually the maid is jealous of the concubine, aka the mistress. And the maid is jealous of the mistress are jealous of each other, and overall, all the women are jealous of men, because men are richer and more powerful, and women want that. So the maids would betray the mistress they are serving by snitching to other mistresses, which is terrible. And yes, it is frustrating, but did it make this movie less enjoyable? Not exactly, because this movie ultimately is going for a very bleak and sad piece of history. And if the characters pull crazy tricks up their asses like Game of Thrones or something, it wouldn't have really achieved that. But anyways, there are also other things about this movie that I just don't quite like. A lot of the dialogues, especially in the beginning of the movie, sounds kind of awkward. There are sound editing issues in the beginning of the movie, and throughout the entire movie, the acting just feels kind of unnatural for some reason. There's overacting and then there's underacting, and I feel like a lot of the characters are kind of underacting, and not in a way where they're completely deadpan, but in a way it's like they're performing a very formal stage play where they have to enunciate every single word very clearly. In a way, it doesn't sound natural to me. But anyways, my biggest issue with this movie is that the ending is just not good. There is still one loose end. So we have the four mistresses. The fourth one, Song Lian, is the main character, and the second one is the worst one. And the second one is still doing her own thing by the end of the movie. So that problem isn't really gotten rid of or anything. She's still there, and it just feels like a loose end. It just doesn't feel like a very conclusive ending. But there are still things about this movie that I really like. It goes without saying that the visuals are stunning. Zhang Yimou in this movie has a tendency for static symmetrical shots, which is very quiet and very wide, like wide shots. And they're all really beautiful looking, especially the shots where the camera is basically on the rooftop of that manor. I don't want to use the word manor because it technically isn't a manor, but it's a complex of resident spaces where a lot of Chinese rich people live. And the rooftop is covered in stone tiles and slates, and it just looks really good. And of course, given that the word red lantern is in the title of this movie, there are a lot of red lanterns here, and they look pretty gorgeous as well. And the music is nice. Like, it uses classical Chinese music, and it's interesting. it makes this movie sound interesting. And I also like that this story deals with a very bleak and tragic piece of history, and it doesn't deal with it by over dramatizing everything. And I'm liking it overall. I maybe I'll have to rewatch this a few more times in order to like it, but there are still issues I have with this movie. They're not huge issues, but still issues nonetheless. And also, I guess it's not a very rewatchable movie. Like, I kind of don't want to rewatch it, to be honest, because it's very fucking sad. So, yeah, 大红灯笼高高挂, or Raise the Red Lantern, 1991, by director Zhang Yimou. I'm giving it a decent to strong 8 out of 10. So, have you watched Raise the Red Lantern from 1 to 10? Rate it, like it, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.